Welcome to our slice of Alaska.
We'd like to thank all of you for following us and your comments and for subscribing to our channel. We appreciate all of you.
Yeah, we appreciate the comments. We learn from you and hopefully you can learn a few things from us. But we got a few projects to do we've been working on. Hopefully that'll be the case, that maybe we can learn a little bit today. Huh?
Yeah, we've at this time of the year, it's normally really cold between Thanksgiving and Valentine's Day is our darkest time of the winter. But we've had a little reprieve this year. We've had some warmer weather than usual, so we can try to get a few extra things done without it being so cold.
Yeah, I would say that this time between, like you said, from Thanksgiving to Valentine's Day, not only is the weather unpredictable,
Yes.
And it has been this year. Did you know that it was warmer? I mean, it was colder in Tennessee yesterday than it was in Anchorage, Alaska.
I believe it. We've been really warm. The whole month of December was warm.
Yeah.
Warmer, way warmer than usual.
But it has created some challenges for
It
a lot of
is.
different things. So,
Yes.
but it is a little reprieve that we can get. Our firewood needs to be stocked back up, and I myself like to use the tractor when it's available. And usually this time of year, I wouldn't be able to get the tractor into a couple spots to get some easy trees. So we're going to try to get some easy firewood today. What else we got going on? I'd like to get the oil changed, and it's about time.
Now that the weather is warmer, you were going to let the fire go out in the wood stove.
Oh yeah.
And get the chimney cleaned. When the weather warms up, we have to tamper down the wood stove, otherwise the cabin gets so hot. And when you do that, because we burn spruce up here, it's what we have available, it creates a lot of creosote in the chimney, so we have to keep pretty tight tabs on that.
And we do have a backup heat. We do have a boiler system. That's just the coolest thing. It's a Toyo boiler system, but we try not to use it because we have the availability of so much wood, and so we're gonna do that. We got get the oil changed in the generator. Try to get that done. I think that's about it.
And I really like the fact that you're not climbing up on that roof to clean that chimney.
Nah, I
don't like you up there.
My courage is kind of running out when it comes to stuff like that. But and being obviously back here too, you just don't want to injure yourself whenever possible.
No.
Even the smallest injury can turn into a long day trying to get somewhere. So
yeah, there's a lot of things living off grid that you have to be careful and mindful that you're doing things safely.
Yeah.
Because off grid is dependent on you.
Some of that stuff's unpredictable too.
It is. It's very unpredictable.
As we found out. We've had our times in this time of year, between heavy snow and cold, and our chimney was ripped off the house a couple times, and
I'll never forget that year a few years back. We thought our water froze because our water has frozen a few times here.
Yeah.
And usually it freezes, what do you think, March, April-ish?
Usually when the frost starts going back down.
Yeah, when the frost starts moving, it goes down before it comes up, it'll freeze the water. And we thought our water was frozen. Man, we had the guy out, he thawed it all out, and we would have, a little bit of water in the morning, and by night we wouldn't have any water, and I think he was away here 3 times.
Well, yeah, I spent the whole week down there replacing everything, and like he told me, right, he said, well, Steve, there's only 3 things to go wrong, and after I replaced those 3 things or checked them all out, I couldn't figure it out, and so we had to have him come in, and he couldn't figure it out either at first, and I had 3 things that can go wrong.
We call the well guy, because we were through the switches and the pressure tanks and the thawing of the water, and there was only thing left was out to the well.
Yeah.
And he pulled the cap off the well, and our water had dropped 12 feet. So our pump wasn't sitting in the water. And the reason we'd have a little bit of water in the morning is it would seep in a little bit at night when we weren't using it. But as soon as we used that little bit of water, it's like it acted like our water was froze.
And when I asked him, I said, well, what do you mean our well dropped 12 feet? And he looked at me with this response that I've heard a few times in the last few years. And I said, well, that's Alaska.
That's Alaska.
What does that mean exactly? And I think that's when I talk about unpredictable, is that things can be unpredictable. But fortunately, it's been pretty predictable this year, and we've had a good
now, we haven't had the water freeze for 2 years.
Yeah, since we put the greenhouse
Since we
up.
put the greenhouse on, we haven't
had
had the water freeze. And we did put a heat trace in.
Yeah.
And that, so we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that we don't have frozen water again this year.
Yeah, that Arctic heat trace that she talks about is a very interesting thing. It goes inside the water line, and it senses cold, and then it turns itself on. But even at that, it's a challenge with off-grid to try to run that heat trace for.
It is, because the spring of the year is when we have our biggest power demand here at the cabin. I'm running my plant lights. I like to run my incubator because I hatch out eggs. And I start a lot of seeds. I start a lot of plants for my gardens. And then the heat trace is running, so it's a lot pulling at one time at that time of the year for that 2 months in the spring. We just have to run the generator more.
Yeah. Fortunately, hopefully the sun will be out and we can
help offset it.
Offset it with the solar. But we're still working on this. The battery bank system or whatever. Do we get another battery?
Yeah.
But then you got to charge it longer, and there's just a lot of little things that it just takes time to try to figure out.
You know, we've been here 8 years, and we have never lived off grid, but we're learning, and it's getting. I think it's getting easier.
Yeah.
It's easier than it was the first couple of years. You know, you live 50 some years of your life on the grid, and not even thinking about plugging anything in or how much power things really take. Complain about the electric bill, but you don't really understand what's drawing the power.
Yeah.
But when you live off grid, you realize really quick the things that draw the power.
The first thing you look at in a box is what is the wattage?
What is the wattage?
Which we never did before. But,
but it's a learning process.
Yeah. And I'm going to try something new today. I'm going to, in the wood situation, I'm going to try to save a step, you might say. I don't know how that's going to work out, but I'm kind of excited to try.
I think it's going to work.
Yeah.
I don't see why it wouldn't.
Yeah.
You built that little stand on the sawhorses.
Yeah. I'm going to try to just save a step from the outside. And like I said, with the snow down like this, usually I have to go out with the snow machine and the sled, and I got to go, cut the trees down, and I got snowshoes on and stuff like that. This is a rarity. So,
it is.
And they say, make hay when the sun shines.
Make hay when the sun shines.
And the snow will come, most likely.
Usually in February and March it snows a lot up here.
Yeah, with the long range forecast.
It's not looking like it, but it's a really odd winter.
Yeah.
It's not a normal winter.
So, all right. Well, I hope you enjoy our adventures today. And again, thanks for tuning in. can put it out in a pickup truck. It's pretty portable. And the thing about it is I can always put it in some place where it's warm, so I'm going to worry about it. I'm going to move it around the yard. I've really become a fan of this electric one. In my years, I've had many other splitters, and first couple of years I actually did it by hand, and I didn't really mind that too much. But versatility and amount of flexibility this thing gives me, it's been a blessing to us that we have this greenhouse that we put up a few years ago, and we turned it into a 4-season kind of room. So in the winter time, let me see right now, we stack our firewood in here. We got a little extra storage. Then in 3 months, you'll see this thing transform into some amazing greenery. So it's really been nice because we can come right out of the house. We're going to walk down the trail to the greenhouse. We have access to some electricity in here, so we can put the heater in here and do certain things. So today we're just going to see how this thing works in here. It's actually the first time I've actually brought it into the greenhouse. But I thought, what the heck? I made this little stand and I just put some boards together and a couple sawhorses. And for me, because I'm a little taller guy, it works so I don't got to bend over all the time. And bring the tractor right up to the door, obviously, now. See how this thing works. Hopefully we'll start the generator. Today's project is going to be, we're going to get this chimney cleaned out. Try to do it about, I don't know, about every 4 to 5 weeks. Burning this spruce sometimes and letting it settle down. The fires settle down quite a bit, builds up quite a bit of creosote. So being that I'm not brave anymore and going up on a metal roof in January, this is the way that I've become accustomed to cleaning, and it seems to work pretty good. The first thing I do is I mark this. Carefully.
of these wood stoves, especially got a ballast or you got some sort of device in there to recirculate the smoke. And if that's the case, some of the wood stoves have a inside device that helps to recirculate the smoke one more time. If that's the case, this doesn't work really good on those stoves. Then you're going to have to, if you do it this way, you're going to have to vacuum out the top of that device. This one, I just gotta go outside and do the middle piece. Oh shit. Oh, there you go. Today we're going to be taking a little bit of time and we're going to be doing a little maintenance on our Honda 7000 generator. It's kind of important, you know, these things, this is our power plant, this is our electric company right here. When there's an outage, there is no phone call to be made. It's just something we got to deal with. So there's a couple of things that usually cause issues with generators in general. One of them is poor maintenance. So you want to make sure it's an easy process. It's like changing the oil and anything else. It's pretty important inside these generators because they just don't have oil filters. So it's done on a regular basis. So what I do is usually once, it depends on the hours I put on, but usually once every 4 weeks, I do keep a record of it on the inside of the door here when I did my last oil change, just so I know. This thing has been pretty dependable for us. There is just certain things that really need to be done. One of them is obviously these monthly oil changes, and there's a air filter on the other side, and also there's a fuel filter on the inside. So usually once a year I like to replace all those things. So today we're gonna try to get this done. I usually try to use a lower grade oil in this. I mean, not a lower grade, but usually a 0 weight or a 5 weight oil this time of year because it's a little bit colder. And then obviously when it gets warmer, and we get to use our solar panels a lot more, less oil changes, and I can use a different viscosity of oil.
Okay.
You notice I got this thing lifted up off the ground here a little bit. It just makes it a little bit easier to work on, easier to do the oil changes and some other work on it. Also, you might notice that we have 2 of them. And the reason that we have 2 of them is obviously, like I said, this is this is the power company, and when one goes out, sometimes it's not easily fixed in a short amount of time. So we have to revert to the other one. So really it's an easy process for us as we unplug the main power going to the house here. And we just plug it in to this one. Turn this one on, start it up. Voila, we have power. Also, I have an exhaust system built out to the back to make sure all the exhaust is out. One of the good things about mounting it on the inside of a shed like this was I got an exhaust on this one too because it's a little bit longer. It runs from the back of this all the way down the length of the shed, and then it exhausts out the back. What that does is allows heat to come off of here. There's a lot of heat out of the generator. Even in the middle of winter, I can get probably 70 some degrees in here, which gives me at least a warm place where I can store my tools and warm up a little bit. The other thing that typically goes wrong with these generators here in Alaska is frozen fuel. So every gas station you go to, their gas always has a little bit of water in it. And what we've noticed is that, and you can kind of tell it if you keep gas cans outside in the wintertime, you can kind of hear that ice kind of chunking around in there. But what we've discovered is we started using this filter that takes the water out of the gas. And I'd like to just show you, because I was just amazed by this when I first seen it, on how this works.
Okay,
Here's our filter that's supposedly supposed to take the water out of the gas, and I got, as you can see here, some water. So I'm going to pour it in here, and I was going to show you how good this works. And you can see it's full of water, and look at that. Not one drop comes out. Isn't that amazing? So if you're having problems with your generators or any other things outside that seem to be freezing up on you or running bad, for a small investment, this thing is going to save you a whole lot of trouble. Oops. All right, well, I poured in 5 gallons of gas into the tank here, and I just want to show you how much water this thing actually collects. There's usually a little bit of time for this to drain down as it seeps through that filter. All right. And this is the amount of water that we got out of 5 gallons. Like I said, you know, that stuff gets in your tank, it freezes up when it gets cold out, and it just causes you a lot of nuisance that you really don't need. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
There you go. Good for another couple weeks.